is going on, my friends, and welcome to the Wednesday edition of the Stochastic NHL Strategy Show. I am your host, Josh Harris. There are people in my basement again today, in case you hear some loud banging. No pipe is being laid, but they are laying some carpet. Have a 5-gamer here tonight. I was saying in the chat last night before I went to bed, I think you could have given me 750 lineups. I don't think I would have landed on a proper winning lineup. Just sometimes those slates go that way, and it's not like the winning lineups were bad or anything. It was just like the way I went about this slate, I would have never gotten there. So it happens. But we have a 5-gamer here tonight. Can't hit the nuts if you don't play. And joining me to break it down, wearing Habs gear after they got swept off the face of the earth last night. So, Clifford, what's going on?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Not a pretty game for Montreal last night. The Ottawa defensemen were just like running Montreal ragged on the forecheck, which, like, if you're getting beat by Tyler Kleven one-on-one as a defenseman, might be time to really reevaluate a few things. Montreal back on the board here tonight in a little bit of a better matchup. We'll get to that a little later. You shared a clip of the Connor Bedard goal last night. Just an unbelievable release from that guy. Don't know how he's not going to be on Team Canada when the Olympics roll around in February. We'll see. But yeah, 5 games ahead of us here tonight. We do have teams on back-to-backs. So, of course, your standard watch for warm-ups warning applies. Pretty much some pretty interesting games across the board. Like, Dallas is pretty banged up. New Jersey's kind of the same. Winnipeg and Montreal, both teams kind of desperate for a win here. Buffalo and Philly with serious playoff implications, which is interesting. Utah and Anaheim, 2 teams that seem to be marching towards the playoffs. And then Washington, San Jose. San Jose still hanging in the playoff race. Washington has really come alive here over the last 10 or 15 games or something. So as far as 5-gamers go, pretty interesting one. Pretty interesting if you look at some of the ownership as well, but there's nothing super egregious. Like, there are definitely a couple spots where I'm kind of side-eyed. There's one team in particular, but other than that, I don't think there's anything crazy. So I kind of like this for a little 5-game slate here tonight.
Yeah, and not envious of the Team Canada GM having to decide whether to bring Celebrini and Bedard or not. But, issues in net for Team Canada. But it's still a little bit early to talk about the Olympics. I'm sure we're going to get there when we get there. But we should get into this slate, 5 games to break down. My Rangers not on the slate. Absolute juggernaut win last night. They didn't even look great, but the Stars look pretty bad. But first game of the night, we have those Dallas Stars, 2.9 total, heading into New Jersey. The Devils have a 3 total. Tyler Seguin has an ACL injury. I don't know if it's torn or what, but he's going to be out for a while.
They said the season, so I assume it's torn.
Yeah. So Sam Steele is going to come up with Rantanen and Johnston, and then Robertson, Hintz, Ben. Devils going Hischer, Meyer, Bratt, Mercer, Grietzuk, Palat. Both these teams really banged up here. I guess they had to put Steele on that line with Johnston and Rantanen, because with Ben there, they were getting pretty much run over. I don't know what Steele Steele's a fine player. Maybe it helps them a little bit defensively, probably makes them worse offensively. It's not an ideal situation. Now they really need a couple more guys in the top 6 to round it out. Their blue line's still a mess. Guess we're laying some pipe. But yeah, listen, the Devils are not very good defensively. Their penalty kill has been pretty bad. I don't love Dallas here back-to-back on the road. This is a pretty good matchup. I would probably go to Johnston and Rantanen just because they're coming in under 6%. And if you want to leave Steele off and add in Jason Robertson, I think that's the way I would go. Jason Robertson is really expensive. He's $8,900, but He's having an excellent season. If you want to go cheaper with Hintz, I think you can. Some sort of power play stack. If this was like a 10-game slate like yesterday, I probably wouldn't have too much interest in Dallas, but it is only 5 games. Can't really X teams out. So it would be Johnston, Ranton, and Steele. If you want to make it really expensive, you can add in Hintz or Robertson for more power play. The Dallas power play is still intact, and they are still very, very good. So, Dallas power play most likely if I was going to play Dallas here tonight. On the Devils side, there's a couple ways you can do this, right? Because the Devils top line here is 20,700. It's the most expensive line on the night. 28% top 2 stacks, 19.1% projected ownership. Like, these lines for Dallas aren't great defensively. Like, I don't know if Leon Bichelle was a big penalty killer. Their penalty kill is fine. It's not like the Devils power play is like a machine like Dallas's is, but it's a pretty good 5-on-5 matchup. I just don't know if I want to spend 20,700, especially when you have, teams with better power plays and power play spots for around the same price. It's preference. Like, I have no issue playing them. They have been very good together in 105 minutes, 3.3 expected goals for, 3.9 actual. It's just they're getting expensive, and they're going to see a bunch of that Haskin and Lindell pairing, which bothers me. So, like, for me, I don't have an issue going down to Mercer, Grietzuk, Palat. You can do whatever you want with Palat. I think a 2-man Mercer, Grietzuk, if you're, even game stacking, right? You're doing some sort of Dallas power play. Like, that 2-man is cheap. They're going to avoid the Haskin and Lindell pairing. Their second and third pairs are really suspect. So I don't mind that 2-man if you're going really expensive elsewhere. I have no issue with Devils 1. I just don't think I'm going to get there. And it would be something with Dallas power play on the other side.
Yeah. I'll start on the Dallas side. The numbers with Sam Steele on the top line really haven't been great this season. 43 shot attempts for, 65 against per 60. When he's skating with Johnston and Ranton, and like that is not a lot of offense. And with the injuries Dallas has on their blue line, like once you get past Haskin and Lindell, like they just really don't have any puck movers. Like, so even though Haskin and Lindell play so much that Johnston and Ranton are going to get a fair bit of ice time with them on the ice, but when they're off the ice, it's like, what do you do then? That's what's kind of holding me back, and the fact that they haven't really created a lot at 5-on-5. I don't really have any confidence. Like, Sam Steele might last the game there just because he actually has played quite a bit on that line this season, especially earlier in the season with Seguin and Duchesne and all those guys were hurt. But for me, it's probably Robertson, Hintz, Jamie Benn. And one of the reasons for that is that Jamie Benn is $1,600 cheaper than Tyler Seguin. So that line is 17,900 now. And, we were talking before the show, Jason Robertson's on pace for like 48 goals, 109 points, 335 shots this season, like just an absolute mammoth season. Jamie Benn at 3K, like Tyler Seguin at 4,600. He was, for what he was doing, it seemed like he was fairly overpriced. He wasn't shooting the puck. At 3K, Ben gets an assist with a couple shots and you're okay. Like it's not that much. So 17,900, I kind of like that line. And now that Seguin is out, remember earlier in the season, like when they had these injuries pile up, like Jamie Benn wasn't playing, he is now. It's a little bit different, but these guys were often playing 20, 21, 22, 23 or 24 minutes a night at times. Like, even though it's a back-to-back here for Dallas, I suspect that they're going to get quite a bit of ice time. Now, that's going to be, all the big guys. But I do think they're going to get a fair bit of ice time. I do like Robertson, Hintz, and Jamie Benn here. If you want to take out Ben and make an expensive stack with Ranton or Johnston, I guess you can do that. Listen, like you said, the Dallas power play is still humming along. They're getting opportunities, like 3.3 power play opportunities per game over the last 5 weeks. It's the 5th most in the league. If you look at the Devils' penalty killing in that same span, like 26th or 27th in the league by shot attempts against, shots against, expected goals against, everything. It's the goaltending that has really held the New Jersey power play or penalty kill rather together. So this Dallas team has been enough. It's been good enough to make anybody look foolish. I do like Robertson, Hintz, Ben here. Obviously, Rantanen and Johnston still perfectly fine at relatively the same price. The fact that these guys all have projected ownership less than the top 2 stack on a 5-game slate in a pretty good power play matchup for what has been the best power play team in the NHL when you factor in opportunities and goals scored. I don't know. Like, I do like Dallas quite a bit here, even though it is a road back-to-back, mainly because these guys are looking at single-digit ownerships on a 5-game slate. Like, that's something that's very appealing to me. On the Devils side, that top line has played 9 games since the Jack Hughes injury, 65 shot attempts, 3.2 expected goals, all in the top line, all getting all in the shutdown role. It's the one thing that's kind of holding me back is, Hischier. Teams have been treating Hintz and Robertson as the top line. So I think Hischier might see them a fair bit. But if you look at the defensive numbers for New Jersey 1, they haven't been that good, like around maybe a little worse than league average. And then you factor in the penalty killing issues on top of that. Like, that's why I kind of like Dallas more than New Jersey here. Like, I have no issue playing New Jersey. Like, that top line has 85 shots in the 9 games since the Jack Hughes injury. It's almost 10 shots per game for the top line. It's a lot. I think they're perfectly fine at over 20K. Like, I think you can save a little bit of money and go play Dallas instead. Like, New Jersey 1, like, I don't have an issue playing them. They do have the highest top 2 stack on the board here tonight. It's also interesting. They're right in the price range with Winnipeg. Winnipeg's going into Montreal. I don't know if anybody's watched Montreal Canadiens over the last month. I have a lot, and it's been kind of tough. So, we'll get to Winnipeg next. It's just, I think I'd rather play Winnipeg than New Jersey, but obviously New Jersey with the top 2 stack on the board, perfectly fine here. I agree with you on New Jersey too. That line, actually, I should say Mercer and Gritsuk when they're on the ice together in those 9 games. Since the Hughes injury, 74 shot attempts, 3.1 expected goals. Gritsuk, almost 3 shots per game in that span. Mercer, over 19 minutes. Even Gritsuk's getting like 15 to 16 minutes. Pretty good ice time for New Jersey, too. I think they're a very good filler, especially when you consider that I think they're going to see a lot of the depth defense matchups against the Stars. So you're avoiding Heiskanen and Lindell, and you're getting into the Capo Bianco, Lyubushkin, whatever tier. There's just not a whole lot there with all their injuries. So I do like New Jersey too. This isn't a spot, 5-game slate. You do want to drop down to third lines at times. I don't think this is a spot where I'm dropping down to the third line for New Jersey. The Dallas side, maybe. It's actually kind of interesting. I mean, we have to see what the lineup looks like for Dallas because they are dressing Nathan Bastian. Maybe they'll switch something up. But Bork and Ritskovian have actually been reasonable at generating offense this year. 145 minutes together, 2.8 expected goals per 60. The Devils' depth is not good. It is the Achilles heel of this team. If you want a 2-man of Ritskovian and Bork or something like that, like Bork has 15 shots in his last 7 games, playing like 12, 13 minutes a night. I do think like if you're playing an expensive Winnipeg power play stack or something, that's something you can do. But for me, it's the Robertson line from Dallas. I don't mind New Jersey 1, but I prefer Winnipeg. We'll talk about them in a second. So Robertson line, New Jersey 2, maybe a 2-man from Dallas 3 if you really need the punt.
I have to laugh at Frostback says, what New Jersey goaltending, right? Jake Allen comes off a 42-save shutout. Frostback rosters him, gives up a goal. Immediately blacklists him. The only goalie he doesn't get mad at if he gives up a goal is Lucas Ostal. This dude expects 59 save Ben Scriven shutouts every time he rosters a goalie. So he's going to play Carey Price tonight at 6,900 to take the 0. Guaranteed. Winnipeg Jets with a 3.2 total. Heading into Montreal, the Canadiens also have a 3.2. Winnipeg going Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, Perfidi, Nemestikov, Taze, Niederreiter, Lowry, Iafallo. The only reason I mentioned that third line is Alex Iafallo replace Cole Perfidi on power play 1. He is 2,600. I feel like that's kind of important here tonight. Montreal is going Caulfield, Suzuki, Bolduc, Slavkovsky, Demidov, Kapanen. So Winnipeg won $600 cheaper than the Devils top line. They have a 23.7% top 2 stack, 16.1% projected ownership. So the top 2 stack is 4.3% lower, 3% less ownership. You're saving $600. I'd argue it's a better power play spot because it is. It's not a great 5-on-5 spot from just the fact that they're not a great 5-on-5 line. But this is a pretty good 5-on-5 matchup as well. I know we talked about Montreal 1 yesterday, going through the gauntlet in the West. They didn't look great yesterday, but that was more of a forechecking issue than like top line defensive issue. I do like Winnipeg 1 here. If I'm spending over $20K, they would be my preferred option to New Jersey. It's just because of the power play. And Montreal has been taking a ton of penalties. If you want to, make it a full power play stack, Alex Iafallo just makes that way easier at 2,600. Like that's $100 more than min price. And when he's been there in the past, as long as Velarde was in there as well, he's been useful. It's not like he's just like a guy there. You know what I mean? So like you get a power play assist, you get a couple blocks from him. You're cool as the other side of the pillow. So like I like Winnipeg 1, Winnipeg power play here. I don't think I'd full stack anything in the depth. Like they barely stay together as it is. So I think, if you're fading the Jets and you need a cheap one off, I guess Alex Iafallo is fine from the standpoint that even if he only plays 13 minutes, if the Jets get like 3 power plays here, he could hit the score sheet. So Winnipeg 1, Winnipeg power play, Alex Iafallo 1 off. Montreal is interesting because, we've talked about the defensive issues of this team with Morrissey off the ice. Even with Morrissey on the ice, I think there's a Connor Hellebuck issue, which we talked about the last time they're on the slate. I don't mind the top line here. Caulfield, Suzuki, Bolduc at 17-1. They are coming in at their top 2 of 14%. I'd rather play Dallas just because Dallas is getting less ownership and they're probably going to play more minutes. But it's not like the Scheifele Connor Velarde line is good defensively. Yes, like part of that is aided by when Sandberg was out, and if they were on the ice without Morrissey, they had to hang on for dear life. But you go back seasons, they've always been below league average defensively. So I don't mind Montreal 1 here. I think that's more of a 20 max for me though, because if I'm in that price range, probably going to do something with Dallas. I guess you could play Kapanen and Demidov, Slavkovsky, just because Morrissey will be off the ice when they're on the ice, and that's beneficial to them. It's just that they have not been very good. I think a Slavkovsky one-off is fine here, a Demidov one-off, but for me, it's both top lines, and I prefer Winnipeg by a lot here.
Yeah. I'm going to talk about Winnipeg first here. One thing that was interesting about the lineup that they showed at Morning Skate today was that it looks like Luke Schenn is going to be scratched. I don't know if anybody's watched Luke Schenn play hockey over like the last, decade, but certainly the last.
Leafs fans have seen some Luke Schenn.
Yeah, it's certainly the last 5 years. Like he has been like far and away the worst Winnipeg defenseman here tonight. I actually talked about it. I think it was on Blue Sky earlier today. 4 games without Neil Pionk. They were giving more ice time to Luke Schenn than Dylan Sandberg at even strength. It's one of those things like there's nothing about it that makes sense. But taking him out and putting in literally just an average third pair defenseman is a massive upgrade to this team. And we always talk about how, like, if you have a third pair, a defensive third pair that's constantly getting caved in, they're stuck in their own end. The next line after them has to start in the defensive zone, whether it's off a faceoff or a line change or something like that. It doesn't only hurt the players on the ice, it hurts the next group of players coming over the boards. Taking Luke Schenn out I honestly don't even care who they're bringing in. It is an upgrade, and if that, like I said, if that guy's just an average third pair defenseman, it's a substantial upgrade over what they had, because Luke Schenn has quite literally been one of the worst defensemen in the NHL this season. So that's why, like, I don't think the Jets are a great team, especially without Connor Hellebuyck in net, but I do think that they're going to be considerably better with Luke Schenn in the press box as opposed to in the lineup. That's what is kind of holding me back a little bit from Montreal here. That top line, I didn't think they looked bad last night overall. I thought the Montreal defense looked pretty bad. That's also a problem. But, that top line, 56 shot attempts, 3.2 goals with Bolduc there. Suzuki playing his 20 and a half minutes. Caulfield around 18. Like, that's perfectly fine. It's a solid power play matchup for them. Montreal, a little bit below average drawing power play opportunities per game, but Winnipeg does give up power plays overall. The Winnipeg penalty kill itself, about league average, so nothing to worry about. Montreal power plays looked like miles better over the last 6 or 7 games since moving Bolduc back to the top unit. I certainly don't mind Montreal one here. I kind of agree with you. I think I'd rather just go play one of the Dallas lines at half the ownership. But, there's certainly nothing wrong with playing Montreal one here. As far as the depth goes, like, that second line, Slafkovsky, Demidov, Kapanen, just has not been good. 38 shot attempts for, 65 against per 60 at 5-on-5. It's not like the Winnipeg middle six is great or anything, but if you need a super cheap one-off and you want a one-off Demidov or one-off Kapanen, that's okay, but that's about it. I'm more interested in the Winnipeg side here. Like I said, I'd rather play Winnipeg one as opposed to New Jersey. The Winnipeg top line, I looked at 125 minutes in 9 games since Dylan Sandberg came back. 55 shot attempts for, 2.8 expected goals for, 1.9 expected goals against. Like, actually having 2 competent defense pairs, I was just talking about that with Luke Schenn. It makes a huge difference for the team defensively. I think they'll be able to control the play, even, regardless of the matchups coming back from Montreal. And like you mentioned, Montreal's taking a lot of penalties, 3.4 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. It's the 5th highest rate in the NHL this season. If you want to look at the season as a whole, Montreal's 7th by time shorthanded per game. The Winnipeg power play with Alex Iafallo, you're talking how they were perfectly fine. It's 61 shots and 11.6 expected goals per 60 with Iafallo there. Like, they're perfectly fine with him on the top unit. Because he's so cheap, I think you can just make it a full power play stack. It's a great power play matchup for Winnipeg. There's some bad blood between these two teams. I don't know if anybody remembers the bubble playoffs. I think a lot of us have probably memory hold it.
Scheifele hit, man. Oof.
Yeah. Scheifele, I think it was Jake Evans. Just absolutely obliterated Jake Evans when he was coming around for a wraparound on an empty net. And these two teams play some pretty rough games basically every time that they meet up, or have since, because there's still quite a few Montreal players left over from that team. Might be quite a few penalties here tonight. So I really, in a matchup of the power plays, I do like Winnipeg one. They're my favorite line of the night. It's just a matter of if you want to pay over $20K for them or not. I will say, like, Winnipeg 2 they're moderately interesting to me. And I say that because they're actually generating reasonably well. 69 shot attempts, 3.3 expected goals per 60. Perfetti might be off the top power play now, which kind of sucks. But, they're under 10K. So if you're making a super expensive, like, New Jersey stack or something like that, I think they're in play. But this game for me is about Winnipeg one, Winnipeg power play, not in so much on Montreal.
Yeah, Scheifele high-key dirty. I don't like to call players out, but he's dirty. Buffalo Skinny Swords with a 3 total heading into Philadelphia. The Flyers also have a 3 total. What's his name is out for the Flyers, escaping me.
Tyson Forster.
So Flyers with new lines here. They're going Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny, Tippett, Couturier, Michkov, Cates, Brink, Grabankin. Buffalo going Thompson, Norris, Benson, Zucker, McLeod, Quinn, Tuck, Doan, Ostland. So there's a lot of ownership on this Couturier, Michkov, Tippett line. And honestly, with Forster out, I think Tippett's going to be a big beneficiary of
That sounds like something Will Ferrell would have said in like a George Bush SNL sketch 20 years ago.
This isn't rocket surgery, but yeah, no, Tippett's going to be a beneficiary with Forster out. Sucks that Forster's out. He's a very good player for them. There's just an insane amount of ownership on them. 11,800, 9.7% top two, 23.1% projected. Like, that's just too much for me. At 11,800, I can go play New Jersey 2. I could even go play Buffalo 2 here for half the ownership. For me, I'm wow, just struggling. My brain is moving faster than my mouth now. I'm going to go to Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny. 13,400, 6.6% top two, 8.4% projected ownership. I think they're fully correlated on the worst unit. I don't want to say first unit because they're both not great, but the unit that had been with Forster, Tippett, Brink, York had been better, but this line is fully correlated on the Sanheim unit. You were looking before the show. They don't really hard match. Not that it's a huge deal because Buffalo up and down hasn't been great. I would go to the Zegras line here tonight. I like the Couturier line, but 23% on a Flyers line is just going to be a big no for me, dog. If you want to go do like a Cates Brink cheap two-man, I think that's fine. I'm not really sure what Nikita Grabankin brings to the table at this point, but Cates Brink good enough against, some middle six matchups is fine. But Zegras, Dvorak, Konechny for me. The Sabres side's interesting because no one's playing the top line, and Sam Erson's in net. He has not been good. I think his best game of the season was the last time out, and he had 15 DK points. I think that was his highest output on the season. The Flyers haven't been hard matching. With Cates, Brink, and Forster not a line, I don't really have a line that scares me because, I don't think Couturier, Michkov, Tippett is going to be anything good defensively. Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny, not going to be anything good defensively. So I think from a pure ownership standpoint, Thompson, Norris, Benson at 0.9% is an interesting play here. Josh Norris shut us up immediately, having a 3-point game. Shooting on Sam Ersson under 1%, maybe when, people catch on to that, they come in at 4 or 5%. They are 18,100 more expensive than Dallas, more expensive than Montreal 1. So, yeah, they're going to be well owned here. I think that is attractive considering that none of these lines really scare me, and Ersson has an 842 save percentage on the season. That second line of Quinn, McLeod, Zucker, 10,900, 10.7% projected ownership. I'd much rather play them than the Philly line at 23%, but that's still really, really high there. I'd rather just go play Mercer, Grietzuk. I don't have an issue with them in general because they've been very, very good together. That's just a lot of ownership for a filler line. Ostland, Doan, Tuck at 12.7 still kind of priced as a filler. They've also been really good together. So, I'd probably go there at 3%, but it is the Tage Thompson line that gives me the most interest. They are expensive relative to how Philadelphia has been, but they have a much weaker lineup here tonight. So Thompson line and the Dvorak line for me.
Yeah, I'm going to be – this is weird for Philly because, one, I see 23% ownership for a Flyers line on any night that isn't a showdown slate, and I'm thinking that's a hard pass for me. By the same token, if you look at Mitchkov and Couturier's numbers with literally any winger besides Travis Konechny. 60 shot attempts, 2.9 expected goals, 2.8 actual goals per 60 at 5-on-5. Like, that's pretty good. Like, it's not elite. It's certainly well above average. So I think the league average is about 2.5. So, what's that? Like 13% above league average. Like, that's pretty good for scoring. And that would be why they would make my favorite line. But they're coming in at 23% ownership. Like, it's one of those things where I think they're the best line, but I'm not playing them at that ownership. I'm just not. And let's give like a little bit of a shout out to the Sabres here. They've dealt with a pile of injuries so far this season. They still don't have Yuri Kulik or Michael Kesselring, but they've certainly been, quite a bit better defensively. If you look at some of the numbers, I think it's been 10 games since Rasmus Dahlin came back from having to go see his girlfriend for health issues in Europe. In that time, like, Sabres are between like 8th and 12th by shot attempts against, expected goals against, those things. Like, the only thing that's killing them is the goaltending hasn't been great, but they haven't been awful. Like, I don't know, man. I get that at 11,800, they're probably going to get good ice time. You get Mitchkov and Tippett on the same power play unit. So, like, I understand wanting to play them. But if those Flyers are going to be in like 1 out of every 4 lineups on a 5-game slate, like, I almost don't care about the matchup. For me, like, that's just a pass. Even though I don't like them as much, I probably would rather go to Konechny, Dvorak, and Zegras. Like, Konechny isn't having a good season, and at least by his standards. And I'm actually writing about it tomorrow morning. So if anybody wants to check DobberHockey.com, my article will be up on covering tonight's slate plus Travis Konechny's issues. He's completely revamped how he plays the game, whether you look at zone entries, zone exits, shot rate, the types of shots that he takes, playing off the rush, playing off the cycle, like those types of things. Yeah, I'm worried that it's going to take him years, plural, to kind of adapt his game properly. And, I don't think he's going to be the guy that he was a couple of years ago when he looked like he could be a 35 player putting up, 2.5 to 3 shots per game. I don't know if the style that he plays now can make him that type of player. But at the same time, that line has a third of the ownership for an extra $1,800 or $1,600. Sorry. Like, I can't avoid it. Like, Zegras and Dvorak have generally been pretty good together this season. Zegras is getting a good amount of ice time. It's Konechny, Zegras, and Dvorak for me. I just cannot play a Flyers line coming in at 2.5. Their top 2 stack, and that are going to be in roughly 1 out of every 4 lineups on the slate against the Sabres team that has been playing better over the last 10 games after getting Rasmus Dahlin back, and Jason Zucker came back, and Zach Benson came back, and Josh Norris is back now. Like, they're finally starting to get healthy. I think this is a much better team than they showed in the first 5 weeks of the season. So for me, it's Konechny, Zegras, and Dvorak, but I'm not enamored with the Flyers overall. It's Buffalo that's way more interesting to me here. You mentioned the top line, 0.9% ownership. Like, I get that it's not necessarily an easy matchup against the Flyers. What I'll also say is that for as good as the Sabres have been defensively lately, the Flyers have been equally bad defensively lately as well. Over their last 10 games, sitting 24th in the league by expected goals against per 60. We're talking Anaheim, Montreal territory. Their actual goals against hasn't been that much better, sitting 22nd in the league, quite literally in line with the Buffalo Sabres. Now, at 18,100, they are expensive, and I do worry about ice time. They have 3 playable lines here now. I don't think Tage Thompson's going to be one of those guys skating like 21 minutes a night. Josh Norris might actually get the most ice time of anybody on that line. Take that for what it's worth. But 1% ownership. And if you look at Thompson and Benson this season, in their minutes without Tuck, because they actually haven't played well with Tuck, but 60 shot attempts per 60 minutes. about 125 minutes in their time together without Tuck. Add in Norris. I kind of like that Buffalo top line here. Like if I was 20 maxing, I would absolutely 100% have at least 1 out of 20 with the Buffalo top line. Urson starting. He's terrible. Might be the worst goalie in the NHL. Flyers defense has really fallen off over the last month. That Buffalo top line, we just saw last game how well they can generate. The Buffalo power play is legitimately very good. Like when you have Zucker and you have Doan, when you have Thompson, when you have all those guys healthy and on the top power play, 12.7 expected goals, 11.3 actual goals. They are very, very good. So I like Buffalo 1 here. I think Buffalo has 3. I really do believe they have 3 playable lines here. Tuck, Doan, Oslin. Tuck and Doan in their time together without Thompson, again, about 125 minutes, 78 shot attempts, 4 expected goals, 4 per 60 at 5-on-5. Tuck 29 shots, 9 points in his last 10 games, and that's without much top power play time. Doan's on the top power play. I like Tuck, Doan, and Oslin as a filler. Buffalo 1 is my favorite line in this game. I don't mind playing the Zegras line from the Philly side. I'm not super enamored with the Flyers here tonight.
Yeah, and we say a lot of things about Josh Norris, but he is legitimately good on the power play. So, like, that power play is going to cook.
That's the thing. It's the funny thing about Josh Norris. Like, even on penalty kill, like, he's actually a good penalty killer. He's like one of the gap between his effectiveness on special teams and his effectiveness at 5-on-5 might be the widest of any player in the NHL. It's crazy.
Yeah, he's kind of like Chris Kreider in that aspect. Like Chris Kreider has like stretches where he couldn't hit water if he fell out of a boat at 5-on-5, but scored 2 shorthanded goals and 5 power play goals in the same span. But anyway, that's enough on Josh Norris for the week. Utah, Mammoth, 3.2 total. Heading into Frostback's Super Bowl field, the Ducks have a 3.3 total. Utah going Keller, Schmaltz, Peterka, Genther, Cooley, Daniil Boot. If you don't know who Daniil Boot is, he's not in the player pool anyway, but he is worth mentioning. He is the 12th overall pick, I think, in 2023. He is a large mammal, and he put up 28 points in 54 games as a 19-year-old in the KHL. That is a man's league. So, like, this dude is a prospect. So, yeah. Sucks that he's not in the player pool here tonight because it is a very good matchup against Los Patos. But the Ducks are going Carlson, Terry, Kreider, Gauthier, McTavish, Seneca. I mean, listen, the Mammoth kind of really dropped the ball against the Sharks the other night. But this is honestly, from a 5-on-5 standpoint and Frostback earmuffs, this is a better 5-on-5 matchup tonight than it was against the Sharks. So, I do really like Keller, Schmaltz, Peterka here at 15,700, 14.9% top 2, 8.3% projected ownership. It's like you're going to give me positive leverage on these 3 guys. Yes, Peterka's not on the power play, but he has double-digit goals on the season, playing a lot of his minutes on the third line this year. You give him Schmaltz and Keller. Like, I have no matchup concerns. If you want to turn it into more of a power play stack, you can add Genther instead of Peterka if you want. I'm completely fine leaving Peterka there at that ownership. 8% on a 5-gamer. I'm in. Daniil Boot not being in the player pool kind of sucks. So Genther, Cooley, 11,900. You want to add in a Keller, add in a Schmaltz, make it a power play stack. I think that's fine as well. But yeah, Utah 1, Utah power play for me. On the Anaheim side, this is kind of a tough matchup. There's a lot more ownership here on McTavish, Gauthier, Seneca at 15.3, 12.6% top 2, 16.3% projected ownership. That's a lot for just one guy on the top power play unit, and it's McTavish. The power play is Carlson, Terry, Kreider, McTavish, and Jackson Lacombe. You play Cutter Gauthier because he just shoots the hell out of the puck. The Utah goaltending has been low-key bad, more like high-key bad. I don't really want to play them at 16.3%. I would much prefer to go to Carlson, Terry, Kreider, 17,200 at 5.4% projected. They're fully correlated. They get good minutes. They've been good together. It's just not a great 5-on-5 matchup, but they're shooting on a goalie that has struggled this season. So, like, I don't know if I'm going to prioritize that Ducks line. I think, like, it's kind of similar to how I would approach Buffalo one. If I was 20 maxing, I would for sure get there. I think, they're fine in single entry. I prefer them to the McTavish line just because of ownership. But I think, either of the both lines are fine, and Utah one is my favorite in this game.
Yeah. Something interesting. I mean, maybe we'll get some sort of update, but JJ Peterka took Barrett Hayton's spot on the top power play for Utah's last power play in the game in their loss against San Jose. The top power play was Cooley, Peterka, Keller, Genther. So Peterka might actually be getting top power play time now. At his price, I don't think that's a guy, even if he wasn't on the top power play, I don't think that's a guy that you take out of the stack. And you're right, like that would be my favorite line, 15,700. I do think you can just straight up turn into a power play stack. Now, the Utah power play has certainly struggled at times, which is why you've been seeing some changes. But Anaheim 3.8 times shorthanded per game on the season, or in the last 5 weeks. Sorry, it's the third most, or it's the most in the league. Third most time shorthanded per game on the season. Only Boston and Winnipeg are higher. Utah should get a fair number of power plays here tonight. And the Utah penalty kill, their metrics in that 5-week span, basically league average. What has saved them, believe it or not, has been the goaltending, which has been great on the PK and terrible at even strength. Go ahead and figure that one out. So I honestly don't mind just playing Utah one. I would definitely sneak in one of Genther or Cooley. I mean, Genther's always my preference because he's the volume shooter. I was looking at Cooley picking up some shots lately. The shot attempts haven't really ticked up. It's just the shots on goal. I think it's just one of those small sample things I'm not super worried about. So, Utah one, probably adding Genther. That's definitely, like, I want to get power play guys in my lineup. So even if it's not Peterka, it's probably going to be Nick Schmaltz. So one way or another, that top line is going to have 2 out of 3 guys on the top power play. Dylan Genther would be my choice to add. Lawson Krause, Michael Carconi, Jack McBain, up to 135, nearly 135 minutes, 80 shot attempts, 4.4 expected goals per 60. Carconi plays 12 minutes a game, and he's averaged over 2 shots per game in his last 10. Like this, I think if you're playing, an expensive Winnipeg power play stack or an expensive New Jersey power play stack or something like that, I do think 2 out of the 3 guys off that Utah third line are very playable here. On the Anaheim side, it is definitely the Leo Carlson line. Listen, they're perfectly correlated on the power play, 17,200, 8.6 top 2, 5.4% ownership. Like, a few things about it. One, they're perfectly correlated on the power play. 2, those guys all play in the empty net situation. You won't see that as much with the guys from the second line. So you get that empty net situation, you get the perfect correlation. They have been, drawing a reasonable amount of power plays over the last 5 weeks. The power play is currently constructed has been above average, 9.1 goals per 60. It's not great, but it's above average, and that's certainly a step in the right direction for this Anaheim team. Considering they're coming in at a third the ownership, it's Carlson, Terry, and Kreider for me. I have no issue playing Anaheim too. If you need a mid-price stack here, I think they're one to target. But for me, it's Carlson, Terry, and Kreider. Like, Carlson's getting like close to 22 minutes, Terry like 20 minutes over the last 5 games. Kreider's even up like near 18 minutes. Again, these guys all play with the empty net. I think that's important. So Carlson line for me on the Anaheim side, Utah 1/Utah power play, and I don't mind Utah 3 if you need a true punt filler here tonight.
Yeah. Washington Caps with a 3.2 total heading into San Jose. The Sharks have a 2.8 total. San Jose going Celebrini, Smith, Toffoli, Eklund, Wenberg, Gaudette. Washington going Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier, Wilson, Protas, Sordif, McMichael, Leonard, Duhaime. Washington played last night. Logan Thompson was in net, so tonight it'll be Charlie Lindgren. We've talked about it a bunch. It is currently the biggest drop-off in the NHL, I believe. I know Vladar to Urson is close, but I think it's like 0.7 goals per game, something like that. It's a big drop-off. And, San Jose won. Been rolling. I do worry that sometimes Wenberg takes the shutdown and you'll see Celebrini go out against second lines. That Sordif, Protas, Wilson line has been a menace to society since they've been together for 100 minutes now. 1.97 expected goals against. But it is Charlie Lindgren. I do like San Jose 1 here. They are coming in at 17%, though, and they're right in that range. They're sandwiched between the Ducks Carlson line and Buffalo 1. I don't know if I'd prioritize San Jose in that. I think I'd rather play Buffalo because of ownership, Ducks because of ownership. Like Chalk Sharks always make me nervous, but Celebrini, that line has been on one, so I think they're perfectly fine at the price. What was it? It's Utah 1 that is 3-winger, right? So, like, you could go just like Celebrini, Smith, Wenberg, something like that. I know it's going to be hard to leave Toffoli off after his 40-burger, but Wenberg is on the top power play unit. Washington doesn't have a very good penalty kill, so I think I would do some sort of Celebrini, Smith, Wenberg. It'll bring the cost down. You get extra power play. You could do Eklund as well, but I'm just saying, like, if you're using that Utah 1 line, they are 3 wingers, so you would need double center somewhere. Excuse me. So it would be San Jose 1, San Jose power play. Washington side interests me as well. Strome, Ovechkin, Beauvillier, 16,100, 11.6% top 2, 11.6% projected ownership. I think that's fine. I would be more likely to turn it into a power play stack, whether that's with Wilson, whether that's with Leonard, depending on your price preference. The Sharks have been middle of the pack defensively at 5-on-5, which is way better than you could say for the past few seasons. So I would turn it into more of a power play stack. I'm fine with that second line as well at 14,300. You could do what you want with Sordif. I would do like a 2-man of Protas, Wilson, and that third line, McMichael, Leonard 2-man. Like, they play a bunch. Like, McMichael's been getting heavy minutes. I know the last 2 games he's only had 1 shot on goal, but the previous few games before that, his shot volume has ticked up. Leonard's on the top power play unit. They get good minutes. They're very cheap, and they're going to get bottom 6 matchups for the Sharks. So if you need a cheap 2-man, I do really like McMichael Leonard here. So it would be some sort of Washington power play stack, but if you need something cheap because your power play stacking somewhere else, I think McMichael Leonard is perfectly acceptable, and I like it.
This really sucks because it's something we bring up every time the Sharks are on. John Klingberg's still on the top power play unit. Like, listen, with Orlov on the top unit, they generate 30% more shots and their goal rate doubles. That game against Utah, top unit goes on for the first power play, doesn't score. Second unit goes on with Orlov, they score. Second power play, no goals. Third power play, no goals. Fourth power play, goal against. I know why coaches do this. It's because in order to get any value out of John Klingberg, you need to get something from him on the power play. But at this point, I think you can comfortably say it's costing them games. And for a team that is in the thick of a playoff race, to keep him on the top power play unit to try to extract value from a 34-year-old that you signed to a 1-year deal or whatever in the rebuild phase. Like I honestly, I can't wrap my head around it. And it's really frustrating because, as you mentioned, this is a great power play spot for San Jose. Washington, 3.1 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. I think that's 10th most in the league on the season. This Caps team, worse than league average by time shorthanded per game. The penalty kill itself, bottom 10 over the last 5 weeks. And the Sharks power play, again, when they've had Orlov, it's crazy. It's honestly the difference between being one of the worst in the league and being like Winnipeg Jets level, or Tampa Bay when they're actually going level, or something along those lines. And that's why it's really frustrating, because this is a matchup, especially especially with the Charlie Lindgren starting for the Caps, or likely to start for the Caps, I should say. Like, this is a situation where I would really be in on the Sharks if they would stop screwing around with their power play units, but they're just not. So do I want to play chalk Sharks? Because all of a sudden, what would be a great power play matchup is now a bad one. Do I want to play chalk Sharks? I would probably rather just go play Anaheim. Like, I'm going to be honest. I don't think Anaheim at home against Utah is any better or worse than San Jose at home against Washington. That Carlson line is coming in with a lot less ownership at a similar price. So I'm not going to say don't play San Jose. Obviously, they've had some massive games this season. Like you said, if you want to do a double center of Celebrini, Wenberg, put them with Smith, and then you can get to that Utah top line that's triple winger, that's perfectly fine. But for me, like, I have no problem playing the Sharks on a 5-game slate, especially with Lindgren in net. But they're kind of capping themselves as far as the power play is concerned, and you can't rely on this team to score 5 even strength goals every night. So, San Jose power play, but I'm kind of out on the Sharks here. I'm more in on the Caps. That Washington top line of Ovechkin, Strome, Beauvillier, 16,100. I was looking at their numbers over the last 10 games to see if there's been a drop-off. Well, 68 shot attempts, 3.2 expected goals for per 60 over the last 10 games. Obviously, they've been really good all season. Ovechkin, 15 points in his last 10 games. The San Jose penalty kill is not good. It's kind of that thing we were talking about with Utah, where the metrics aren't good, but the goaltending has been over 930. So that's one of those things that's going to regress. And when it does, the puck is going to fly into the San Jose net when they're shorthanded. So I do like the Caps here. The Caps have also been drawing at least like a reasonable amount of power plays, I should say. Around 2.8 per game. It's just a little worse than league average over the last 5 weeks. Sharks taking a lot of penalties. Sharks at 3.5 times shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks, third most in the league. Only Anaheim and Boston ahead of them. You get Ovechkin and Strome on the top power play. If you want to take out Beauvillier and put in Wilson or put in Ryan Leonard, I think that's perfectly fine. I really do like Washington 1 here. Washington 3, extremely playable if you need a filler. As you said, McMichael up around 18 minutes a game. He has 27 shots, and he has 27 shots and 11 points in his last 10 games. Leonard on the top power play unit, using them as a 2-man, especially against the San Jose depth, I think is very, very viable here tonight. So I don't mind a McMichael Leonard 2-man, but it's Washington 1 for me. Washington 2 firmly in play, just kind of a weird price point, not a filler, not a mid-price stack. I think it's Washington 1. And again, if you want to take out Beauvillier, put in Wilson or put in Leonard, that's fine.
Yep. We'll just deal with a little pipe laying while we talk about defensemen. Top of the board here, we have Chychrun, Dahlin, Morrissey, Heiskanen, Hamilton, Carlson, Sergachev, Lacombe. Those are guys 5K and up. Chychrun up to 7K is interesting. He has 91 shots in 27 games. That's like a 275 shot pace, which is obscene for a defenseman. That's like almost 3.5 shots a game, something like that. So it's a really good power play matchup. He's been playing, 22 plus recently. I would add him into Washington power play stacks. I think he's fine as a one-off as well. I know 2 games ago he took a game off from shooting the puck so much, but in his last 7 games, he's had 4 or more shots on goal in 5 of them. So 2 shot bonuses in that time. So I'm fine with him at 7K. Rasmus Dahlin, I think, is fine as well, especially in your low-owned Sabre stacks. Josh Morrissey is in a really, really good spot. He's kind of turning into Adam Fox for DFS, though. He's not really shooting the puck. So I would still add him. He needs to hit the score sheet. I think it's perfectly viable here tonight. Heiskanen, just from a pure won't leave the ice standpoint, is a good play. But yeah, I think I'd go Chychrun 1, Morrissey 2, and then Dahlin 3.
Yeah. You mentioned Morrissey, his shots per game is the lowest it's been since his second year in the league. Certainly not what you want to see. Dahlin amongst there's 3 defensemen above 6K. Dahlin is number 1 by overall point projection, 11.6, and points per dollar, point per $1,000. 1.73. I think Dahlin makes a lot of sense against the Flyers. Listen, if you have 7K and want to pay up for Chychrun, I honestly don't have an issue with that. The fact that John Carlson is so much cheaper kind of factors in, but now that John Carlson's on the second power play unit for Washington, I do think if you want to pay up for Chychrun, no problem. But it's Dahlin 1, Chychrun 2. Morrissey, I would add him if I was playing a Winnipeg power play stack. I don't know if I'd put him in by himself. 1, Montreal's a low shot volume team typically, so I do worry about the block bonus for Morrissey. And 2, like I said, he's just not shooting the puck. And at 6,400, even if he gets 2 assists and a couple shots and a block, it's fine, but it's not a great night. So it's Dahlin, Chychrun, then Morrissey. The mid-price range, there are a lot of interesting names. Miro Heiskanen, I think, was over 27 minutes again last night. Certainly he's in play. Jackson Lacombe, up around 5K now, but perfectly good matchup against Utah. Mikhail Sergachev on the other side. I think with how reasonably priced most of Utah is, if you're making some sort of Utah power play stack, you find adding in Sergachev. Lane Hudson for Montreal, just because it's a good power play spot for the Habs. If you don't want to use Hudson, I think Matheson is perfectly fine. For the defenseman under 4K, this is where I think it really gets interesting because you got Esa Lindell, again, over 27 minutes last night, along with Heiskanen. Simon Nemec, okay. New Jersey, power plays, man.
They rotate to 3 of them.
These power play formations are taking years off my life. New Jersey started that game against Columbus with Nemec on the top power play, and they scored. Okay, so they score on the first power play. Second power play comes around, they don't score. They're 1 for 2. Third power play, Dougie Hamilton. It's on the top power play. Fourth power play, Dougie Hamilton again. Fifth power play, they go back to Nemec and they score. What are you guys doing? Anyways, who gets the most top power play time? I don't know. Put the names on a boggle dice and shake it up. But I don't mind Nemec for under 4K. Nemec, Lindell, York. I guess he's on what would be the top power play now. So Cam York is fine. Alex Carrier finally cracked the 3K mark, but I think he's still in play at his price. Matthias Samuelsson for Buffalo, perfectly fine tonight in a road matchup. But again, he's a guy that I do worry about a little bit with shot volume for shot blocking purposes facing the Flyers. Under 3K, I think Rasmus Sandin. Listen, I know Chychrun, great option. John Carlson, perfectly fine. Rasmus Sandin's probably their number 3 offensive defenseman, and the Caps are one of the up there with Colorado and Carolina for activating their defensemen on zone entries, off the rush, those types of things. So I really do like Sandin for under 3K. Radko Gudas, always in play for me, under 3K. Owen Power, I guess. Man, there's a guy we talk about first overall picks not doing well. I mean, I guess he's still young and he still has, some time to grow. But this is, I guess technically Owen Power's 5th season. He's 23 years old now. It's one of those things like start figuring it out. But anyways, under 3K, I think he's in play here tonight. But I really do like Rasmus Sandin and Radko Gudas.
He needs to get out of Buffalo is what needs to happen. He needs a fresh start in like Colorado. Let's talk about goalies. I don't want to play any of them legitimately. In the top range, you have Charlie Lindgren, Sam Urson, Eric Comrie, Jacob Markstrom, Ville Husso. I guess Comrie would be the guy just from like win equity. Like I don't really want to spend up there. I don't want to play Urson. Don't want to play Uncle Chuck. I guess Markstrom because Dallas are back-to-back on the road. Don't really want to play Husso. In the mid-range, like Jake Ottinger is the one guy where I'm like, all right, 7,500, that's fine. But I worry about the minutes with Miro and Lindell off the ice, but I guess it will increase his volume if he saves them. The Buffalo starter, I don't know which one of the 19 are going to start, but
I think it's going to be Ellis. It seemed like, because I forget if it was practice yesterday or on Monday. It was one of those things like, because it was UPL on Monday night, if I'm not mistaken. And then it was like, he'll start that one and then Ellis will get the next one. He had the starters net in practice or something like that. But, we'll find out in warm-ups.
Yeah, I really don't care which one it is. Like, I'd be willing to play any of them because they're kind of all the same garbage. But, like, the Sabre starter, I don't mind Askarov. It's just Washington's one of those, like, 3 goals on 21 shot type deal guys, unless, like, Chikrin's just bombing away, which is certainly possible. But for 7,100, don't mind Askarov. I think Ottinger would be my number one. Ottinger, Buffalo starter, Askarov, and the expensive guy, maybe Markstrom, maybe Comrie, but like I don't love it.
Yeah, look, this is one of those nights where, like, listen, I know we don't like goalies almost any night. This seems particularly egregious. What I will say, not that I'm like a Colton Ellis booster or backer or anything like that, but I was just looking at Pinnacle, and Buffalo is the second biggest favorite on the board here tonight, and he's 7,300. It's like, if you can get even like 3 goals against on 25 shots with the win, like at 7,300, like you'll just kind of take it.
Yeah, Frostback's already going to the lawyer to get it notarized.
So I guess Ellis for cheap, I think makes a lot of sense. Jakub Dobish at 7,400 makes sense. But Colton Ellis is the highest projected goalie we have at 7,300, and obviously the highest point per dollar goalie as well. So I think it's probably Colton Ellis. Dobish is fine. I was going to play Thompson. I'm not playing Lindgren. I think Jake Ottinger would be my next up, assuming that he gets to start. I know he's confirmed. They said he had an illness, but he's still going to play. That kind of worries me. But for me, it goes Ellis 1, Dobish 2, Ottinger 3. It's rough out there, man.
Yeah, if you have a lean, you play those guys. Like goalies is one of the most random positions in DFS, up there with starting pitcher 2 in MLB for DraftKings.
And I mean, the other thing is too, I mean, we haven't talked about it a lot, but with shot rates going down so much over the last couple of years, it makes the value of the wins that much higher for DFS goalies, which is why, like, if I can get a favored goalie at 7,300, yeah, go ahead and then I'll roll the dice.
Yeah, that's why I said I don't give a crap who's starting for Buffalo. I'd have interest there. We will be back tomorrow. I think it's a 12-gamer, 10-gamer, 12, something large and in charge, kind of like my life. But who you liking for your hat trick pick right now?
Interesting. I'm just going to go a little bit off the board. I think he's had a really understated season as a rookie. I'm going with Ryan Leonard.
Love Ryan Leonard. Gabriel Perreault's line mate in Boston College. They were a good team. All I'm not really going off the board here, but I guess it is low ownership. Going the Raging Tage Thompson.
Ooh, I like it. Relying on the Buffalo Sabres, it's never gone wrong for us before.
Oh yeah, let's just load in Tage Thompson and Colton Ellis, and we'll see you tomorrow with negative points in your lineup. But good luck, everybody, tonight. We'll see you in the Discord, and good luck tonight.
Good luck tonight, everyone.